And so that's why a lot of times life will surprise us. You're not always going to get exactly what you want, how you want it, when you want it. So we must not be in resistance to our own unique life paths, and we must drop all comparison traps. That is huge. Please drop all comparison traps. Even if you see somebody else and what they have is what you want, you have to understand too, like that could just be the ego, the wounded ego talking. And I'm not saying that's the case all the time. Sometimes it could be. And you have to recognize you have your own unique set of experiences that you're meant to experience. Thus, we have to learn to make our lives great exactly how it is. Because, like J. Cole said in that song, there's no such thing as a life that's better than yours. Peace and love, beautiful beings. My name is Layla Wind, chosen goddess. Welcome to my channel, Let Go My Ego, where we talk about all topics that have to do with letting go of our egos and letting our heart and our souls lead the way. I am so happy to be back. I had a nice little break. Sometimes we need to take however long of a needed rest that we need, or a break, or whatever. That's just part of going with the flows and the cycles of life. If you're new here, thank you so much for being here. And again, we talk about all topics that have to do with letting go of the ego and letting our heart and our soul lead the way. And sometimes the ego is not so obvious. It's not always so loud. It's not always so obnoxious. It's not always so about me, me, me. Sometimes the most purest, most loving ones of us can definitely be in our ego. And yeah, and leading with the heart and the soul is really that clarity and that deep self awareness, right? And ultimately, that higher connection to the divine, to source, whatever you want to call the higher power, the higher authority. That's what leading with the heart and soul is all about, is really connecting with clarity and getting a direct connection to the divine, to source, and to ourselves, right? Because that divinity lies within us. So today's topic is a really good one. Honestly, all of my topics are really good ones, but I feel like this one is going to really open the minds of so many when it comes to manifestation. And so this video is entitled The Manifestation Trap. And really, the truth of what you're not being told or what you're not being taught about manifestation. And so I am someone who's been on this path, a spiritual path, and manifestation is one of those topics that typically a lot of people on the spiritual path delve into. They want to learn to master. We're taught that we're master manifestors, right? And we're always manifesting, which is true. But there's so many things that we are not taught about manifestation. And that to me comes into where a lot of the new age teachings come into play, and also are in a way perverted, meaning that they're not as pure, they're not as original, and they're kind of telling part of the story, right? They're not telling the whole story. So we're going to get into that today. And so, just to be clear, manifestation is very real. And if you're wondering what I look at, I have to say this every video. So, the ones who are used to me, used to being here and seeing these videos, thank you for being patient with me. But if you're new here, yes, I am looking at notes. I have notes because I have a lot to cover and I like to be very thorough. So, if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at notes. So, please bear with me. So, just to be clear, manifestation is very, very real. It's very real. How do I know it's real? I'm not saying it's real based off of somebody telling me it's real based off of their experience. It's real based off of my own experience. And mind you, human beings naturally, we manifest, but we're doing it very unconsciously, a lot of us, and subconsciously, because our subconscious thoughts really control a lot of our behaviors, a lot of our thinking processes, a lot of what we attract and how we show up in the world. But when we're conscious manifestors, it truly is a game changer. And there is a fundamental truth that all human beings, we all deserve, every single one of us. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what you're going through, what you look like, none of it matters. All of us deserve, as a fundamental birthright in our natural state of being, to have peace, to have pure love in all of its forms, not just intimate love, a loving life, loving friends, loving relationships of all kinds, right? Including intimate. We deserve that love. We deserve to feel loved, and we deserve to know that we are loved, right? We deserve that peace. We deserve that love. We deserve happiness. We deserve holistic health, right? Not just physical health, mental health, emotional health, spiritual health. We deserve financial overflow, financial abundance. And although money is a very touchy topic, financial abundance is not just in the form of just money, right? That's the experience that we all are experiencing, or most people, I should say, on the planet, is money as being one of the forms of abundance. However, money is not the only form of abundance, right? When I think of abundance, I simply think of all of my needs being met. I think of the overflow. I think of, happiness. I think of nourishing foods. I think of loving community. I think of having a genuine, honest, conscious support system. I think of reciprocal relationships. I think of having a roof over my head. I think of connecting with nature, right? All of these are forms of abundance, right? And I say all this to say that, again, this is our fundamental right. This is our birthright. So, honestly, if we are not experiencing all of these things in its totality, then we should be consciously co-creating and manifesting our reality. And who are we co-creating with? We're co-creating with the divine. So now that we're very clear that everyone on this planet deserves that, and that is our natural state of being and our birthright. And it's also important to remember that, part of this manifestation is to remember and to embody our own divinity. Now, the caveat is how you get there. That's another thing, right? That's a whole nother story. So, although we all are deserving of that, part of being in the human experience is to experience duality, right? It's to experience where it's not always going to be just love and light and peaches and cream and organic cookies and flowers and roses, right? And I'm saying that as a metaphor, the sweetness of life, right? The happiness, the good times, right? We're going to experience highs, lows, ups, downs, round and round. Sometimes our head is going to spin, and sometimes we're going to be not coherent. Sometimes we're not going to even feel like we're in our bodies or in our minds, meaning like we could really be losing ourselves, right? And that's part of the human experience as well. Not for everybody. A lot of us have experienced that, especially if you're going on a trajectory of doing some very, very deep inner work. And so our soul knew the dual nature of this reality and our ability to transcend it and transmute it. Certain parts of our experience is inevitable. So I want to make that very, very clear. So no matter how much of a master manifester you are or you think that you are, there are certain parts of our experience that are inevitable, meaning the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful. No matter how adept we are, like I said, to manifesting or not manifesting, or even how high vibrational we are or how low vibrational we are, there are certain things that we can't skip. And although being more high vibrational, meaning when we say high vibrational, we're talking about making more higher aligned choices, right? Because we're all vibrating beings. That's one of the laws of the universe. We're vibrating beings. And so how we vibrate, meaning what we're emitting, the frequency that we're emitting out into the world, is going to have everything to do with what we experience. And so it's true that we are both not only creators of our reality, but again, we're powerful co creators. And it was written. So it's interesting. It's kind of a paradox. So not only are we creating our reality, but it was also written. Who wrote it? You did. You did. Your oversoul wrote it before you incarnated into this human experience. And the reason why we experience what we are experiencing, like I said, whether it's good, bad, ugly, beautiful, is because there are certain soul lessons that sometimes we need to learn, certain karmic debts, if you will, that we need to repay or to experience. And it's not even so much about repaying anything, it's more about seeing the whole totality of the human experience. So if we were the abuser, maybe in one life, or whatever it is, that's just a very simple example. We may be the abused in this life. That's not the case in every scenario, right? Or you could have been a good person in every life, but somehow you're going through a hard time in this life, and it's to also maybe to show you your soul chose this. And I know that's a tough pill to swallow. Sometimes our souls choose certain experiences to remind us of our innate divine power, to remind us that, wow, we can truly overcome any and everything. We are limitless and we are also miraculous beings. So that's really beautiful when we can shift through these hard times and have a higher perspective. And so the divine within you, again, is here to clear the karmic patterns and to even, again, remember the divinity within you. And anything else your soul wanted to experience beyond the egoic mind and programming about how things should be or what you think you should be going through for us to evolve. And a lot of times our I would just say the natural, I don't want to just say the ego, but sometimes just our natural purity of heart and soul, we want to experience those really good times, right, in life. And we want to learn through those good times, and we should, and we're moving into that. So now let's talk about the comparison trap and the quintessential desired reality. Quintessential meaning the typical desired reality, right? So the quintessential desired reality for most humans is what? To get married, right? To make a lot of money, to graduate college, for a lot of people, or to become successful, right? However, society deems success. Usually it's based off of your notoriety. It's based off of who you know. It's based off of your popularity. Again, your money, your perceived status in society, right? Also having the perfect face, right? And the perfect body, whatever that means to the society standards, right? Not our own standards. And also, of course, for some people, success is like having children, right? With the perfect family. And like I said, being famous or popular and like even partying like a rock star, right? Having that rock star lifestyle, right? And that's how we have all been programmed to believe that if we don't have these things, then we must be failures or somehow not good enough. And even if you're a very spiritual or a pretty conscious person, we have to recognize that a lot of us still maybe to some degree have a lot of these underlying false illusory programs of what success and what, like I said, the quintessential desired reality should look like for all of us human beings, right? And I want to be clear, nothing is wrong with any of the things that I just said. The family, the children, the even if you're popular, right? You're well known, you have a lot of notoriety, whatever it is, right? If you graduated college, all of that is great, and that's part of the human experience for some. But what they don't tell you is that when we focus on our desires, your soul still, again, has a unique blueprint and set of experiences that you cannot escape. And that's for your soul's evolution. So I don't hear this talked about enough, if at all, regarding manifestation, that it's so important for us to recognize that whatever we're going through in life, this is our own unique journey. And it doesn't make us less than, or it doesn't make someone else's life better than. And even vice versa, it doesn't make us better than others or somebody else's life less than because of whatever we're experiencing. It simply just doesn't. This is your unique experience. And I really want you to take in what I'm saying. I know it sounds so simple, like it's your unique experience. We hear this. Everybody's unique. Everybody's going through whatever their soul's journey is going through, but really soak that in for a moment. Because if it's really your unique experience, how on earth are you supposed to have anybody else's experience if it's your unique experience? Why on earth would you be feeling less than? And we know why, because it's a programming. But why, when you really tap out of it, why would you be feeling less than or horrible? And I get it, especially if you're going through a hard time. Of course you're going to feel bad. And of course you're going to feel sad because you want to get out of it, and you are going to get out of it, and you should get out of it. And it's possible for you to get out of it. And that is your unique experience. And you don't know what other people are going through behind their closed doors. We all have trials and tribulations that we have to face and that we should be facing in order to evolve and in order to clear these very negative timelines, meaning these very negative experiences and realities that we could be experiencing because we haven't learned a lesson, right? Or we haven't evolved a certain place, right? Now, what this doesn't mean is that you are meant to be eternally insufferable, especially if you're going through a difficult time in life right now, or you have had your fair share of pain and suffering, right? So I want to be so clear. It's like, even though certain things we can't escape because we have to face ourselves, and our soul needs to evolve in a certain way, and we have to learn particular lessons in order to have a sustainable right manifestation. However, it doesn't mean that we are supposed to suffer forever to continue to learn. No, we're supposed to clear it. That's why we're going through some of the things that we go through, so we can clear it, so we can evolve, so we can grow, so we can transcend the situation and transmute it and never have to experience that again, right? They say, the blessings come with every lesson learned, right? But in part of learning that lesson is truly to go through all the layers of that lesson. Sometimes the lesson, you may have just seen one layer of the lesson, and there's multiple layers within the lesson, right? And I know it sounds unfair, but that's just part of the human experience, and we're going to get through it. We can, and we will, and you have, right? If you look at your life and you self-reflect, you'll be able to say, wow, look, you made it this far. You've been through so much, and you've gotten through a lot, and you made it this far. So that alone lets you know the mercy of the divine. And the miracle is that you're still here. And if you're even listening to this video, that's a miracle in itself as well. So, what it simply means is that no matter what you desire, you have to face your soul's lessons and opportunities for evolvement regardless. So, your manifestations are grounded, so they are sustainable, and that they also are truly soul fulfilling for you. And this is going to look different for everyone. So again, you can manifest something, or you can think you want something, but then when you get it, it's not sustainable, meaning you're not able to hold on to it. And also you're not happy. You're not so fulfilled, right? Sometimes we want something, but it's not really what we wanted. It's what our ego wanted. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. And what you're also not told is that some people are learning, or are supposed to learn difficult lessons, even through the what seems like the dream life, right? So sometimes we may think, oh, it's unfair. This person has this person has that, because we're looking at, again, the surface level, right? We're looking at the money, we're looking at the fame, the fortune. And you got to remember too, this, just being honest, there's a lot of fools. I don't know what kind of better and kinder way to say it, or I mean, I got to just keep it real. There's a lot of fools with lots of money and lots of popularity who are leading people astray. Okay, lots of fools out here. I have to keep it real. When I say fools, I'm not trying to be mean. I know it sounds mean, but I just gotta, like, foolish meaning they're ignorant. They're not doing anything that's helping the world. It could even be very dangerous and harmful. I'm not going to say no names. There's a ton of them out there. It could, like I said, be very surface level, not really helping people to become kinder, more loving, more healthier, more happier people, right? It's just all surface. and they seem to have it all, right? But what we're not realizing is that even with that, the people who may have the popularity or the money or whatever, or all the beauty, all the whatever, they could also be learning a whole bunch of tough soul lessons through that experience. Just like you can learn a lot of tough soul lessons through poverty or mental health breakdown, or physical health breakdown, whatever it is, right? Family issues. It doesn't matter, like I said, because nobody's life is better than yours, even though it may seem like it. And it's not to say that some people don't have it better. I'm not saying that some people don't have it better, because in this human experience, some people do. But there are also so many different nuances that we're not paying attention to, because we're just looking at things as black or white, right? Oh, this person has that, or this person has that. And again, it's like with the manifestation trap, it's too busy focused on what you have rather than who you are becoming. So that's really, really important. We're not always seeing, again, the inner transformation that is necessary to hold your desire, not only from your nervous system, being able to hold your particular manifestation with your nervous system, but to actually have cleared the karmic debts, to clear the karma, to clear the soul's lessons that are necessary, so that it is not only sustainable but everlasting for your experience, right? Everlasting meaning, yeah, I know things can change, but it's just only up from here, meaning like you're only going to experience the beauty, the bounty. Not to say that you're not going to experience hard times, but what I am saying is that the beauty and the bounty and the love and the kindness and the fun and the care, that's going to be like your dominant state, right? We have to go through that inner transformation in order to hold that desire, and where you can function in that reality and truly again feel happy and so fulfilled with that particular manifestation. Sometimes it could be seeing that desire was actually never the source of your happiness in the first place, which is what I talked about a little bit earlier, but I didn't say it in those words. Is that, yeah, you can manifest something, but again, you're not soul fulfilled. So sometimes the lesson is to realize, and that's why we have to go through the inner transformation. Like, I wanted to manifest this, but now that I have it, I'm realizing this wasn't a source of happiness to me. This actually, in some cases, sometimes it could make you feel even less happy or more sad or whatever, because that's something that we had to learn. So sometimes the divine source creator, you'll manifest something just so you can see, like, actually, that's not even what I really wanted. This was like an egoic manifestation. Another issue is becoming obsessed, or being obsessive about manifestation. So it always becomes about the next thing that you can get and materialize, rather than enjoying your life as it is in the now. So a lot of times when we're too busy caught up on manifesting the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, then we forget about, wow, contentment and having gratitude in the now. And what I'm not saying is that you can't want more. And when I say want more, it's not even about more stuff, but you just know there's room for evolvement. There's still room for growth. I think that's just part of being human, or that we can't have a different experience. But, you can always have more desires as a human being, but we're meant to create, and we are here to co create. And what's also true is that, creation is already complete. And if you don't understand that, you will understand that through working on yourself. And when I say creation is already complete, what that means is that all timelines, all realities, all dimensions, they coexist right now in the now. They do. They coexist right now in the now. And it's a paradox. You may have a timeline of you being the healthiest person in your life, where you're the most confident person, you're the best speaker. What we're not understanding is that also is happening now, and it can be assessed now. And yes, again, it's a paradox, because yes, you do have to work on yourself. You do have to cultivate that energy within you, right? We do have to raise our vibration so we can even attract that reality, our dream, our ideal reality into our life. And it exists now because it's always accessible. It's always accessible now. And miracles can happen. Like your life can change in the blink of an eye. So it's always, so all timelines are converged here and now. And you know the saying, the past is gone, the future is not here yet. All we have now is the present. So in this present moment, you get to kind of tune the dial into who you want to be here and now. So that's really powerful. And if this is confusing for you, I completely understand. I'm not always the best at explaining things in the most concise manner or in a way that I'm trying to convey or wanting to convey exactly what it is that I'm trying to say. However, the more that you work on yourself and the more that you do raise your vibration, meaning you work on yourself holistically, you'll be able to see how in an instant, that's what we're talking about, is like that even illusion of time. Like it doesn't always have to take a lot of time in order for your desires or for things to shift for you really, really quick, right? Especially in these days and times, because we are in the age of awakening. So that's a whole nother story. But yes, creation is already complete. So we can co-create, yes, and we're always co-creating, but also know that whatever's meant for you is for you anyway, and it's already here. We just have to again tune into that. So what I found is that rather than preparing or creating for the future, I'm really just focused now on manifesting in the now, because again, with the manifestation trap, it's always about what you can get for the future rather than who you're being right here and right now, and what you're tuning into and what you're choosing. And that's why I also call myself chosen goddess, because I'm very aware now, even though sometimes I forget, that we can choose, at any point in time, how we want to feel, what we want to do, to be more self aware, to be less reactive. We can always choose. And that can sometimes elude us, especially if we're going through a very hard time and we just feel like our back is against the wall and there's nothing we can do. We always have a choice, even when our back is against the wall. And a lot of times that's surrender, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. And surrender is not giving up. So we'll go a little deeper into that as well. And realizing that life is supposed to be mysterious. And when you look at the word mystery, it actually breaks down into my story, which is powerful. So you're not only writing this story, again, it's already written. You already wrote the story. But in order to be human, you have to forget. Again, that's part of the dual nature of the reality that we live in, is, that we forget and we're supposed to remember who we are. And we just have to know that the divine knows, our heart and soul, our oversoul knows way more than we could ever understand or comprehend in a limited human perspective, right? In our limited human understanding. So remember, the mystery is my story. So we have to allow life to kind of be a little bit mysterious, right? So it's not all about just co-creating exactly and precisely what we desire, because we could be a little convoluted in our clarity and our understanding. And so that's why a lot of times life will surprise us. You're not always going to get exactly what you want, how you want it, when you want it. So we must not be in resistance to our own unique life paths, and we must drop all comparison traps. That is huge. Please drop all comparison traps. Even if you see somebody else and what they have is what you want, you have to understand too, like that could just be the ego, the wounded ego talking. And I'm not saying that's the case all the time. Sometimes it could be. And you have to recognize you have your own unique set of experiences that you're meant to experience. Thus, we have to learn to make our lives great exactly how it is. Because, like J. Cole said in that song, there's no such thing as a life that's better than yours. And I know how hard that is to understand and understand, especially if you're going through a hard time and everybody else seems to be living their best life, right? Especially in the world of social media, especially in the world of television and celebrities and etc. That's all done by design. Remember, you're only seeing a highlight reel of people's lives. You're not seeing what goes on in the background. And trust me, everything in this world, definitely in this crazy world, I promise you, everything is not as peaches and cream as you think it is. Especially for like, let's have a real talk for a moment. You think these people who are not doing any inner work, a lot of these people are not doing any inner work. They're superficial, right? The people that, and I'm talking about the people that you think are just living their absolute best lives. Yeah, they may work out. Yeah, they may eat good food. Yeah, they may have a lot of money. But let's be real. A lot of these people are not doing any deep soul work. They're not doing any humanitarian work. Everything is surface level. And you think they're just going through life, no lessons, everything is just peaches and cream. No, it's a highlight reel. That's how the matrix works. It's full of illusion and delusion to keep you distracted from yourself and thinking that you're not good enough. I mean, that's just the way it goes. So please, my love, snap out of it. So it's time to surrender in deeper into our own life and trajectory and let go of the illusions that someone has a better life than you, or that you are behind, or somehow that you missed the boat. You are the boat. Newsflash, you're the boat. Okay, you're the boat. You're the boat. You're the water. You're the wind beneath the sails. You are everything because you are divine and you're human. You We just have to remember that, and we remember that by learning to love ourselves, learning life unconditionally, which takes a lot of shadow work and a lot of practice, but we can do it. And so when we over try and we have the hustle mentality, or we overdo, we actually push away what we desire and what is meant for us because of control and force. So even manifesting too hard, trying too hard, like doing all this, doing all that, trying to manifest, that could be a form of repelling what you actually want and what you actually desire. And also, this is another thing, positive thinking alone doesn't address the subconscious and unconscious mind just alone, right? It can help with the subconscious and unconscious mind. You have to understand that it takes time and work. It does. It takes time because we're dealing, when you have years and even lifetimes of a wounded programming, of a trauma programming, of an illusory programming, it's going to take some time. You're not going to always happen overnight. And it's interesting because you may say this is a contradiction from what I said earlier, that it can happen in an instant. Yes, but part of taking time means these singular moments, these every single moment in the now you can shift, but think of it as like a accumulation of all these different single moments in the now, of you choosing a higher timeline to the point where that is your dominant frequency, that is your dominant vibration, that's your dominant state of being. And so we have to introduce these new experiences repetitively, meaning you have to experience what you desire. So, example is, you could be a very pessimistic person, always complaining, always negative, always having a bad attitude. The minute that you become aware of that, you can start saying, you know what, I'm going to stop complaining. It doesn't mean that you can't express your grievances, or that you can't be authentic if something is not making you happy or not sitting well with you. But what it does mean is that I'm going to now choose more gratitude. I'm going to now do my best to create experiences that are going to make me feel good no matter what situation I'm in. I'm telling you, like, if we can really tune into that, even like I said, if we feel like we're going through hell and back, or our backs are against the wall, we can tune in and say, you know what? I'm tired of living like this. I rebuke this reality. Okay. You can say whatever you got to say and say, you know what? I want to do something to feel good. It could be as simple as, I'm going to take 5 minutes to take a deep breath and clear my mind. I'm going to turn off this negative drama television show. I'm no longer going to be gossiping with this friend or family member today. I'm done. We're like, what is this gossip getting me? It could be anything. I'm not going to eat this burger today because every time I eat this burger, I gain 5 pounds. I feel like crap afterwards. No, I'm going to choose the salad today. Those little shifts, like I said, they are accumulated, and eventually you're going to be feeling so much better. So we have to realize too that manifestation is part of the journey. It's really the journey, not always just instant, like, oh, I'm going to have my dream life. It can happen that way. But a lot of times that happens because of those little steps, those little baby steps that we take to be more self aware and to make better choices. Better meaning more happier, healthy choices that cause harm to none, including ourselves, right? So another thing is when we fall for the manifestation trap and we're doing all of the techniques like visualization, we're doing mantras, we're doing meditations, we're doing the vision boards, we're doing journaling, we're doing hypnotherapy, you name it. We can become obsessed, right, with that desire because we're doing everything, right? We're like, I'm doing everything right. So where is my desire? Where is it at? It's supposed to be coming here now. And we can feel defeated when we're caught up with the timing. Or we can also feel like at fault, or we're doing something wrong, or that manifestation isn't real because we didn't get, again, what we wanted, how we want it, when we want it, which is a huge ego trap, right? Especially when we're doing all the techniques. And again, I'm not saying these techniques they don't work. They do, but this is what we don't realize. We forget we are not conscious enough or to realize that many times our desires come from an unconscious and subconscious wounded ego program. So even if it seems harmless and innocent, and an example of this would be like how many women and many men, we desire a healthy, loving relationship. And there's nothing wrong with that. We should desire that if that's what we want. And I think that's a beautiful desire. Everyone, for the most part in this human experience, wants to experience a healthy, loving, true partner that's there for you, loyal for you, all of the things, right? That is absolutely wonderful. But the thing is, we're not realizing is that sometimes that desire can come from a very needy and desperate place because we do not feel whole and complete as we are on our own. And so sometimes the desire can feel delayed, or it can feel like it's not coming at all, or we can feel like, oh, it's never going to happen for me because, again, our ego is so tied up into the timing of things, especially if you've been single for years, right? And like you've been working on yourself, you can literally feel like, damn, manifestation isn't real. Or maybe I'm not supposed to have my dream partner because you're too busy caught up in the time and you really never really surrendered to your life as it is now. It's kind of like this tug of war, right? Where people are like, okay, I know I'm supposed to enjoy my life now. We all know, especially if you're on the journey of manifesting, I'm supposed to enjoy my life now, but where's my man? Where's my woman if you're a man, right? Or whatever. It's like you're still too caught up. You're not here, right? You're not present. You're not in the now. And you're not trusting enough in divine timing. So it's like it is confusing to the universe in terms of energy wise. Not that the divine is confused or the universe is confused, you're confused because it's like, which one is it? Are you surrendering? Are you here and now? Or are you feeling desperate and needy and incomplete because you don't have this and that, right? And we've all done this to some degree. So it's really important to just surrender to your own experience and learning to love life as it is in the now. That's one of the biggest hacks, speaking from experience, and this is something I'm actually still working on constantly. I'm not saying I've even mastered it, but what I will say is when I have gotten very, very, yeah, just close to that deep surrender, meaning I'm going to make the best out of my life as it is now, I promise you, every single time without fail, magical doors open for me, opportunities open for me, blessings open for me. And yeah, some people may call it magic, but it's not really just magic. It's just the laws of the universe. This is just how the divine created life, and for us to experience all the blessings and the beauty and the bounty that life has to offer from living in our hearts. But we have lessons to learn before we can actually again experience whatever it is that we really desire. So for in this instance, it'll be real intimate love, right? And the divine partner can also sometimes manifest and come in that we've been asking for, but they're coming with a lot of trauma. They're coming with a lot of wounds. So it's a very trauma bond type of situation, and a lot of times will end in disaster because again, you wanted the divine partner, you wanted the so-called loving partner, and maybe they're not a bad person, but they just were so wounded. You may be so wounded, and y'all come together and you try to make it work, and it's just hell on earth because in a way you both were very codependent and very needy, and you thought the other person was very subconsciously a lot of times going to fix you. You thought they were going to do the healing work for you. You thought that, oh, this person coming to my life is going to make my life complete. It could be very, very unconscious and subconscious, and all hell breaks loose, right? And you start to realize, like, damn, I got the partner, but again, I didn't get the happiness, I didn't get the peace, etc. Because again, you did not learn to create that on your own. And it's not that you have to be perfect to have a partner. I want to be very clear, but do enough work where you can work together healthily, where it's not a matter of I need you for this. It's a matter of I want you and I'm here to help you and I'm here to help myself. It goes both ways for both partners, right? And so that's something to really pay attention to. So I hope that I know it makes sense for those who were paying attention, is to realize that, even if we're doing all the manifestation techniques and our desires have not came in, sometimes it is we need to pay attention to that we still have work to do. Basically, we still have a lot of work to do. And it's not a punishment, it's not a delay. It's again, it's an opportunity to say, you know what? I'm going to be happy whether I'm in a relationship or not in a relationship. I'm going to choose it. I'm going to create. Like, that is real the mastery, right? The self mastery is like, no matter if I have money or I don't have money, I'm still going to be that goddess. I'm still going to be that bad bee, not meaning like 3D bad bee, meaning I'm going to be that bold, audacious, devoted being. That's the real bad bee, the goddess, right? If you're a man, the god, right? Not the God, but the little God with the little G, right? Maybe a big G with the little O and D. we'll save the big God with all capital letters, right? But us, we'll get the big G and the little O and D. So, yes, just have that perspective is that we still have work to do, not as a form of punishment, but as a form of like opportunity for soul evolvement and growth. So either way, it's your soul's journey and the lessons that are more important rather than what we are materializing in our perceived realities. Your soul knows what's best for you to learn and evolve and remember. So always know that your soul knows what's best. So sometimes our minds are not always going to get it right. And we also forget and we don't recognize that it's actually the feeling again that we are desiring and chasing rather than the perceived scenario we conjured up that we think is going to provide us that feeling. So remember, whatever you're trying to manifest, maybe tune into why do you want to manifest it. And a lot of times when you get to the nitty gritty of things, of actually everything that we want to manifest, it's simply the feeling that we're chasing. So for example, I could say that on my YouTube, I could say that I want 100,000 subscribers, right? And there's nothing wrong with that if I have that as a manifestation. But when I actually tune in deeper, it's not about the 100,000 subscribers at all. It's actually about the positive impact that I have made on many people's lives. And it's about changing people's lives for the better. And on another level, it could be also about being seen and being supported for seeing others and supporting others. It could be that innocence of like wanting that reciprocity is like all this work I'm putting out. Of course, I want to reach as many people as possible. So, again, but the feeling is being seen and supported. And the feeling is also, I'm impacting people's lives for the better. That is the feeling that I'm really seeking, right? That true soul fulfillment. So then I would have to ask myself, you know, whether I manifest 100,000 subscribers or not, it doesn't matter. What matters is that I see and support myself fully. And what matters is that I am impacting lives, whether that's one person, 10 people, 50 people, 100 people, or 100,000 or a million. It doesn't matter. What matters is that I'm embodied in my truth and in my heart and in my soul with my teachings. I'm genuine, I'm pure, I'm accountable, I'm self aware, I'm continuing to evolve and to grow and to course correct. And because of that, I can share my journey, my gifts with the world. And that is what matters, is that what I teach and the impact I have is self actualized and it's tangible in my own life. So again, what matters is that I see myself beyond the human identity and that I fully support myself no matter who supports me or who doesn't support me. It doesn't matter. That again is the self mastery, not a master over others, it's a master over self. And this is why it's so important that we have to do the deep shadow work, meaning we have to face ourselves. We have to face our ego. We have to face our triggers. We have to sit with the pain, the deep hurt, the deep pain. We have to be aware where we're performing, where we're holding ourselves back, and we have to snap out of it. We have to. We have that ability to. And we can. And when I say we have to, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to grow and you want to evolve and you want to be that bad bee, meaning that bold, audacious, devoted, loving being, if you want to be that person, whether you're a man or a woman or whoever, a child, whatever, you have to face yourself. And that's the deep shadow work, is to face yourself and to face those parts of you that is not you, that is interfering with you living your best life. So, yeah, the shadow work is what's going to keep us going no matter what, excuse me, as long as it feels truly aligned. And keep going just means, never giving up on life and focusing on your mind, your body, your spiritual, emotional well being, and what you're here to do, one step at a time, right? Which is really beautiful. And lastly, I want to emphasize that if you have not manifested your ego's idea of your dream reality or true happiness, it does not mean that you are not on the right path. It does not mean that you are not master manifesting. It does not mean that. And that is another big misconception about manifesting, is that sometimes we feel like if we're going through a hard time, or again, if our desired manifestation isn't here, that we are actually not on the path of getting that, or we're not on the right path, right? Sometimes maybe we are not on the right path, but then other times, sometimes we are. But again, we have to face ourselves. We have to face certain things in order to have that sustainable, to have that grounded manifestation that is everlasting and again is soul fulfilling. So that is a lot of times why we're going through some of those tough lessons that we need to go through. So recognize that you are always exactly where you need to be, even if that seems like the ugly stage of your life. But again, it doesn't mean that you're not manifesting, right? This is part of your becoming. This is your purification through the fire, if you will. And remember, we're in the year of the fire horse. So if you're going through what I would call a purification of the fire, meaning it could feel like a dark night of the soul, it could feel like you're being broken down. I'm telling you, be the master alchemist, beautiful. Allow it to break down. And I seen something today, and I've seen this before, the opposite of depression is expression. So Lean into the depression, lean into the anxiety, lean into the anger, and express it healthily. Express yourself. Allow yourself to feel it. Allow yourself to let it move through you and express, which is really beautiful. And so, you know, through this purification of the fire, this is where you can see again how you are the ultimate alchemist through the power of love, because that's really what it is. That's what gets you through everything. It's love. Love is the, oh, you don't get through hard times through hate. You don't get through hard times through um you know, just anything that's a form of fear. You get through hard times through pure love, even through the faith of a mustard seed. That is the pure love. And sometimes that love is not always rainbows and butterflies, right? Type of love. Sometimes love is letting go. Sometimes love is speaking up, even when your voice shakes. Sometimes love is not reacting when you have every reason to tear the mother effing house down. Okay. When maybe somebody is disrespecting you, triggering you, abusing you, you may have every right to go off the deep end. Okay. But the love within you somehow, I don't want to say calms you, but it gets you thinking clearly. It gets you moving more strategic. It gets you into a state of miracle consciousness where things work out, where you're no longer reacting, but you're responding. And you have that moment, kind of like this in-between moment in space. That's what's coming through right now. It's like this in-between moment right before the reaction, where it's almost like divine intervention. But sometimes that divine intervention is you. And that's why we're not realizing that divine intervention could very well be you, and just enough of that love within yourself to say there's a better way. And I'm going to get through this, you know? That's why it takes a lot of deep self-love and self-work. And sometimes love is crying when you need to, or taking a long rest and a break and not showing up. You know, sometimes how our ego wants us to, again, perform and to produce and to hustle and to show up. You know, I've even, just to be honest, like I've thought about that multiple times this past 2 to 3 weeks of putting out a YouTube video. And I was just, part of me was going to force it when I literally did not have the capacity in that moment, mentally, emotionally, to put out a YouTube video, because I was going through some personal things with my son and with my life, getting my ducks in a row. Thank goodness nothing traumatic or crazy. You know, it was a little crazier about a month ago because of some things that my son was going through, you know, especially him having level 3 autism. They're very sensitive and they're very used to routine. Things have been getting better, thank God. And for any of those, just side note, anybody who's been praying for us and knows the story or knows a little bit about the situation, thank you. The prayers are working and things are getting better. But I say all that to say that through this week, or the last few weeks, from my last YouTube video, there was a part of my ego that was like, you know, you got to put it out. You got to make a video. You got a million and one things you want to talk about. But then I was like, girl, you got to practice what you preach. This channel is called Let Go My Ego. So let your monkey butt ego go and just relax. Like, do the video when you have the space and you have the capacity, you have enough mind, body, and spiritual fortitude to push out the video. Not pushing it is not even the word, to just do the video, right? To be in flow with the video where it feels good and it doesn't feel forced. And so that is huge lesson for all of us as well, right? Is that's part of not feeding into what our ego's idea is of the dream reality and desired reality. My desired reality is I'm pushing out a video maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, right? But sometimes in our unfolding, in our discovery of self, in our journey of the soul, sometimes that's just not what's happening, right? That's just not what's feasible in the moment. In situations like that, we have to let go of control. And this is where we must surrender, you know? And sometimes, too, if our ego is so wounded, we can literally feel like we could be annihilated, or our life could be ruined, or we're not important enough, or I'm such a failure. Again, all these stories, which are all lies and they're all illusions, can make us, it could send us down again a trajectory, even more of a downward spiral, where we're really now further behind, not behind, but we're in a worser position than what we could be, all because we let our egos run amok, right? But when you can surrender and you can be aware of yourself and trust in life when our backs again feel against the wall, that's when the miracles can happen. And that's when you get your capacity back. That's when you get your energy back. And that's where, you know, you start getting the clarity of what to do and how to feel. Not even so much how to feel. Yeah, we all want to feel good and feel happy and feel loving, but you really start getting clarity on what your next steps are in life. And sometimes love looks like no longer also being the sacrificial lamb for others. Sometimes we can't always see the benefit right away in hard times. So we must learn to be aware of that, is that we may be going through, like I said, a very, very hard time, but we don't see it's a blessing in disguise. And again, that's part of the manifestation as well. And I'm sure a lot of us, if we can reflect back on times where we thought like, damn, why is this happening to me? I'm a good person, I'm meditating, I'm praying, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I'm going through all this nonsense. But when we really tune in deeper, again, we surrender to it, not give up, but we surrender, then we'll really be able to see like, wow, I see why this happened. Thank you so much, divine, for allowing this to happen, because it's made me a better person. And I can see clearer now. The rain is gone, right? Just like that song. And so know that surrender is not giving up. Surrender is giving in. It's giving inwards to yourself, when you are no longer relying on your external reality to decide how you want to feel or how you want to be or how you want to show up to the world. So surrender helps you tune in deeper to yourself and to truly know your soul's truth, which is really, if it's your soul's truth, it's the truth of the collective. It's the truth of all. Because truly, if it's your soul, that's your direct connection to the divine, to source. So it has to be absolutely true. Same thing with your intuition. When people say, oh, my intuition, this intuition, yeah, that it could be your intuition, etc., because it's coming from you. But ultimately, true intuition benefits all, right? So I just want to get clear on that. So know that manifestation is less about what you can get or materialize in your reality, but more about who you are becoming beyond any material reality. And to see yourself, you know, you get to choose your ideal feeling now. You know, you get to see more of yourself and you get to choose how you want to feel now. So it's not about waiting till something falls into your lap. It's not waiting for this to happen to feel this way. It's like, no, the manifestation is I get to feel this way now because I chose to feel this way. And I'm a freaking loving master, you know, master of self. I'm a master over my emotions. And again, it takes practice, it takes time, it takes self-awareness. Never ever give up. That is not even something I even think of. It's not even, like I said, and those of you who watch my videos, you'll know that's not even an option for me. That's not even a thought. Maybe it's subconscious. That's why I'm saying it. But I also know that's a collective message and collective thought. Like giving up is not even an option. You just have to keep going, and keep going also means rest. Keep going also means cry if you need to. Keep going also means, you know, taking time out to be by yourself or to be with loved ones or a select few people, or cutting people off that no longer resonate with you and your reality. It could be a multitude of things. You'll know what it is for you as you go through your life. You'll know. And so know that miraculously all your needs will be met, but not always in the way we think or desire, right? But the human mind and ego can be faulty and incorrect. But the heart and the soul always knows, even if we aren't fully conscious of it yet. So sometimes the tough lessons are what is absolutely necessary for our desires and soul fulfillment to come to fruition in the first place. So again, trust the process, surrender to the now, drop the comparisons, and find and create the joy in your life as it is now. And sometimes creating the joy also means to surrender to, meaning to give in. Remember, surrender is not giving up, but to surrender to the pain, to surrender to the sadness, to surrender to the depression, the whatever you're going through that might be a hard time. Sometimes giving into that helps us to learn from it and to process it and to get it out of our bodies, so that way we can come out on the other side with non-performative joy, where it's actually like, it's like an exhale. I can exhale now. I actually do feel real peace, rather than forcing yourself to feel peace, right? And I find that people who are breaking out of illusions and fakeness, those are the ones of us who typically will go through many breakdowns, so that way we can have a breakthrough that actually truly changes our life for the better. And again, we don't have to go through life faking happiness or faking feeling good, or trying to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak, keep up with appearances. No, we can actually be ourselves. We can do what we want, as we want, how we feel, because at the end of the day, in the beginning of the day, love is our lead. Love is leading us. We are leading with love, right? And so that is something I tend to notice, that you may think that a lot of, again, going back to comparison traps, where you think people are living a better life than you. Sometimes, because it's the matrix, meaning the false illusory reality, the false simulation, that sometimes people, they seem to be going through a good time because they are being performative, they are being fake, they are not really facing their shadows, they are not really facing the truth. So they have to go through life, to keep up with appearances, to keep up the storyline, right? You got to keep up the storyline. My storyline is that I'm living my best life, right? All the while it's a show, and again, this is not for everybody, but this is very common and it's very typical in the world that we live in, especially in the world of media and social media and Hollywood and just societal hierarchies, false hierarchies. All of these things keep people just deluded and forgetting who we are and what we're here to do, which is to be in service to humanity. And it's also to remember the divinity within ourselves. So, with that being said, that wraps up this video. Thank you all so much for being here. If you love this video, or if you like the video, please like it, please share, please subscribe, and please leave a comment. I would like to know if any of these manifestation traps, the manifestation traps, woke you up in a way where you can see now deeper into how New Age manifestation can lead us down a road of, feeling even more lost, more confused, even more less than, or feeling like, manifestation isn't real. It's very real, but again, not in the ways that we've been taught. And I think one of the biggest takeaways for me in this, as I was creating this video, was to realize that even if you are going through a hard time, it doesn't mean that you're not on the right path. That is a big, big takeaway. Or if something hasn't manifested and you are doing everything in your power to be higher aligned, it also doesn't mean that it's not coming. But what it does mean is that there's still inner work to do, or things that you have to get in alignment with yourself, and to surrender more. And remember to give in, not give up, more to our true selves, to our journeys, to the present, our unique lives, and to find the joy, to truly find the joy and be the joy in every single moment. So I would love to hear from you. What did you think about this video? Do you have any manifestation traps that you feel like I may have missed? I would love to hear from you. And as always, if you need to go deeper within your ego, I specialize in shadow work and the covert ego. And if you want to go deeper and you want to get more clarity, especially if you feel like, again, you're doing everything right, right? And in your life, or maybe you're not doing everything right, but none of us really are, right? We're human, so none of us could be doing 100% of everything right. What I am saying is, if you need that deeper clarity and you feel like there are some unconscious and subconscious things that you're not seeing, I'm very well adept and very well versed in being able to help others, as I've helped myself to be able to see those. And I would love to work with you. And I offer a discount for first time clients. The link is in the bio, or you can reach out to me directly via email or on my website at the Contact Us section. So, again, thank you so much for being here. Again, my name is Layla Wynn. I'm sending you all so much love. We got this. Keep being the powerful, conscious master manifestors that we all are. And if you're not that already, it's time to get that way, right? And just keep going, embrace the good, the bad, the ugly. And embracing it doesn't mean that you have to accept the bad or the ugly. It just means that if it comes, it's teaching you something and it's an opportunity for growth. And we got this. All right. Enjoy your day, enjoy your week, wherever you are in the world. And I'm sending you all so much love. Mwah! Peace.